Namaste. The new consciousness. The term new consciousness has been used in two ways in Sri Aurobindo and the Mother's writings. One is it refers to primarily the supramental consciousness, which is their objective to not only bring down on earth but to manifest, to help in its manifestation. And it has also been used in terms of the Superman consciousness when Mother refers to this new consciousness which has come. So we go back to the original supramental consciousness. We'll briefly touch upon the Superman also. The supramental consciousness, to demystify the word, is the divine consciousness. As simple as that. It is omniscience, it is omnipotence. There is within it a supramental love and ananda, and all else, all the different aspects of the divine which we worship as separate gods are unified within it. That's why when the Mother said the age of gods is over, what she was referring to is that till now humanity has worshipped the divine through one or the other aspect. And depending on the aspect, you have the experience of the divine. He is one and infinite. So somebody going through the route of Shiva has a certain experience of nirvikar, etc., the param shunyam. If somebody goes through Krishna, he enters into the evolutionary march of mankind. Somebody goes through Vishnu, he has the experience of the divine who is immanent in the heart of every creature because he is Narayana. So on and so forth, one aspect or the other. But in the supramental consciousness, all these aspects fuse together. So when it is said that the age of gods is over, what it means is that we are going to transcend these limited approaches which created sects and various forms of religions and enter into a new age of mankind where we won't need these small little channels. We enter into the vastness of the divine himself. It is called new, though it is the consciousness, original consciousness. I mean, it's the ancient of the ancients. Because it is the supramental consciousness is the divine consciousness through which he projects into the world. So it is not new in that sense, but it is new to earth. It is new to earth again in the sense that divine consciousness has always been there, but it has been hidden behind the veils of mind, life, body. For millenniums and trillenniums, the development of human beings, and of course before that, through the different layers, has been experiencing life through these layers: mind, vital, and the physical, these three sheaths. And these three sheaths are sheaths of ignorance, darkness, so invariably they distort the play. And on the other hand, the divine consciousness within creation has acted through these layers, which again act like distorting intermediaries. Meaning thereby that all the development that has proceeded so far has been distorted little by little by little. To take an example, imagine intermediaries between the master of a nation or the prime minister and the grassroots person. So he passes an order, and then slowly at each level it gets a little distorted. Somebody eats some money, somebody distorts it, somebody siphons it out. Something like that has been happening. And that disorder we begin to believe as order. Chalta hai. That's how life is. But now you see how it corresponds. Now with the digital age, directly things can reach without the need of intermediaries. Something similar is going to happen now in souls that are ready. So why this sheath of ignorance was needed? Because the souls were still little babies. They were not ready for the direct action of the divine. You see, even someone like Arjuna, who is the companion of the Lord himself, Nar Narayana, is completely taken aback when he discovers the will of the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He can't imagine that this is the will. So if the divine will manifest in the world, and if human beings are not ready, it will create another kind of chaos. A tremendous resistance will come up. It is often seen that when the divine consciousness begins to act in human beings, it brings out hidden resistances because it's truth consciousness. Its nature is to bring out the secret truth. Which means, as of now, talking about its action, there is a line in Savitri: the world's disorder hardening into law this is going to be either smashed or removed. Because it's like layers. We used to think husk is the grain, but the grain is inside. Husk is needed at a point of time, then it's removed. The chaff and the wheat. So this is a process which will happen with the action of the truth consciousness. What we considered as order and held on to it, it's going to be shaken. Naturally, there will be resistance, there will be revolt, which is part of the process. But one thing is sure, that now the divine is going to be more and more in the forefront, not behind, like in the previous millenniums and trillenniums. He'll be in the forefront. And the divine being in the forefront means a tremendous churning. So this will be the first action. Truth, hidden in things, will be uncovered. And truth has these two dimensions. One, things which we hide behind the mask of humanity. We all wear nice mask, not the one during Corona, but even before, the original mask, the mental mask. That is going to be ripped off. Without a doubt. All the hidden things, impulses, instincts, wildnesses, angers, fears, hatreds, everything is going to come out and create a confusion. On the other hand, truth means in its original sense our own deepest truth, which is the truth of the divine nature. That will also come out. So, there will be a period when there will be conflict between these two, individually, nationally, globally. But in the end, because it is the supramental truth consciousness, it is armed with the fiat of victory. Why is it so? Because below the supermind, truth is realized through a clash and conflict of forces. Because there is always a mixture. That's why Sri Aurobindo did not want even overmind creation, which is the descent of the gods. He said nothing short of the supramental, because he didn't want even an iota of possibility of error. But in overmind, even up to overmind, there is a clash and conflict of forces through which truth emerges with great struggle and difficulty. As we ascend higher and higher, the difficulty becomes less and less, but still the struggle is there. Even the gods, there is a struggle, the Devasur Sangram. But the supramental truth consciousness, what does it do? It is a harmonizing principle, so it uses everything for the purpose of manifestation. You see that Sri Krishna's vision to Sri Aurobindo in Alipur jail, it's not a vision, he actually came. And he says, regardless of anything that men may do, they will follow my will. It's a great assurance. It doesn't matter. People are often worried, this is happening, that is happening, Corona is happening, Third World War, China, Belt Road. Everything will be used because that is the nature of the supramental truth consciousness. Even the devil will be used for the purposes, the asura, nobody can escape it. Because it is the origin, it knows everybody's, and it will thereby create harmony by the shortest, swiftest means. That's where we see world is tending. It is gradually becoming a unity. So rapidly, it will use technology, it will use art, it will use music, culture, what we call as bad events, what we call as good events, everything. It will use even confusion to bring some wisdom to human beings and thereby grow. So it is going to, that's what we are witnessing and we'll witness for some time. The second thing about this truth consciousness is that it makes matter lot more receptive to the divine. Up till now, what used to happen when we pray, if it is a prayer for mental difficulties, yes, it's much easier to act. If it is a prayer for, giving some bhakti, some emotion, it's very easy. If it's a prayer to remove lower vital problems and anger, fear, it takes little more time, with struggle. If it's a prayer to act upon the body, even more. If it's a prayer for the subconscious elements in nature, seems almost impossible. That's why yogis declared that, it cannot be changed because the roots of habits are in subconscious. It's not in the facade that we wear, in the subconscious. But this supermind brings the victorious power. So what it is going to do is, it is going to make all these parts more and more receptive. It's literally taming the cobra. It's literally making matter open to divine forces. How it will do is, it has its own ways. So which means that we will see more and more, witness more and more what are called as Miracles in the true sense, not miracles based on placebo effect and all that. Because matter will become more and more receptive. So these new things will come. Also, because matter is becoming more receptive, we will see new things coming up in children. Of course, there are a lot of other things she has told. So there will be more and more child prodigies. Why? Because earlier also, even if a man was a genius inside, matter was not ready to express the genius. So now what will happen is, matter is more and more ready. So this genius within, genius is precisely an abundance of the forces which go beyond the human range. So they will express themselves much more readily. This is going to happen in all fields, whether it be intellectual field, even emotional field, in the vital fields, sports, games, everywhere. And you see this is happening. No such records are being broken as if suddenly last 60 years we don't know what has happened. You see, watch the Olympic records, watch the change in the average lifespan, watch the height change, everything. Matter is becoming more receptive and more responsive. Third thing which the supermind or the new consciousness will do is, it will compel human beings to turn inwards. Its nature is like that. So instead of what does the mind do? Mind turns outward. This happened because of that. Complain, blame, this is how the mind operates. Let me see if I can manage this. Mind is always managing. It's a manager, but a very poor manager. Mind is like Hiranyakashipu. I should not die inside, outside, morning, night, Shastra, Astra, gods or men. So it thinks, wow, outside. But the divine consciousness is turned within, Prahlad. I just want Hari, that's it. Rest is taken care of. So it is going to turn human consciousness inward. Even what we are witnessing last 1 year, and it is compelling lot of human beings, because they had no choice but to remain indoors, and they started turning inwards. So this is going to turn human beings inwards. Fourth or fifth, it is going to give a tremendous fillip to the growth of the psychic being within us. People often ask, that now that Mother and Sri Aurobindo are physically not there, what about sadhana? They have ensured that the sadhana will become easy by every passing decade, maybe year. This is the observation people make, and the Mother has spoken about it. She said that it's like a golden force pressing upon everybody. And it's going to suddenly, it's like the milk why it will give a sudden boost to the growth of the psychic being? Very simply, why was the psychic being not growing so much? Because it lacked the milk. What was the milk given to it? Staple milk of myth, which has its meaning. Myth and legend, they have nourished it. But myth and legends will take it to a point. It won't take you beyond that point. It will still make you stop with the gods or with certain things, and the real sense will not be revealed. So for a long time, the psychic being has been nourished only through these means. Some mantras, little bit of meditation. But now, regardless of all this, because that force is there, the golden force, it is going to give the real food to psychic beings. So It's not that suddenly children will start in the morning, they'll wake up and do some chanting. It's not needed. It won't work like that. So this is the fifth aspect of the supermind. You cannot tie its action to one single way. The divine consciousness doesn't operate like that. It's our idea that it operates in certain ways. If you follow this path, God is with you. If you don't follow, God is not with you. God is with everyone. It's acting even in the atheist, in the criminal, in the most wicked person. He's there. And he's acting in his own way. So anything which is receptive in this earth will open up to this new consciousness. It is not going to pick up people who are going to temple as special people. For all you know, it may say it's still a long journey. But as the Mother says, even a extravagant American, his journey can be a path. What is his journey? They are bikers going around, all around America just. But she says one thing is needed. So now what it wants is only one thing, thirst. So suddenly it will awaken in human nature the thirst for perfection. Before the new consciousness, you will see that human beings were caught in a kind of strange situation. I use the word double trap. You want to make your material life perfect, that's one kind of thing where you just work upon matter by material and mental means. Or if you turn towards spiritual life, you had a salvation beyond, you had a heaven beyond, you had nirvana and mukti beyond, isn't it? What about man's urge for perfection? You can do it, but at the end of the day, it's all illusion. Now, there is a possibility of what the Mother and Sri Aurobindo have used the word divine perfection. It's not a human perfection. Human perfection moves within limits. What is the perfection of music? The 7 ragas. What is the perfection of the human body? A healthy, strong body, supple body. This is the perfection of the human body. Can a human body fly? No. Can a human body become luminous? No. Can it become free of disease all through? No. Can it defy aging normally and naturally? No. Can it defy death? No. So human perfection has its limits. Can there be a music which goes beyond the ragas? No. You have to be bound by ragas. Can there be a poetry which is a free expression of the infinity within? No. There is nothing like that. Rules of poetry. Can there be a life which is free and full of delight? No. You have to follow certain social, religious norms. All that is gone. Gone. It's a new life, not just a new conception. New life means a life of true freedom, not the freedom of the licentious vital, which says, I'll do whatever I feel like. Because now the divine will is operating, it will not allow it to continue for long. It is a life of true freedom. True freedom means freedom from ignorance. True freedom means freedom from the entire chain of karma. She speaks of that, true resurrection. Why there will be a freedom from chain of karma? Simply because you are a channel for the divine will. See, what binds us? Ignorance. When divine will is acting, who is going to tell you you are the culprit? Doesn't Shri Krishna say in the Gita, give a hint? This is a hint of the supramental. When he finally, after everything, Trigonatit and everything, he tells Arjuna, now I am going to give you my supreme secret. Now you'll wonder, what is so supreme secret about it? Surrender has been known since ages, but Shri Krishna calls it the supreme secret. And he says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshishyami masucha. Any which way. So, to open to the divine and his will, divine will. This mantra, let thy will be done, which we are just speaking. So this is going to become a way of life more and more. Human beings will open and become channels of that will. And what stands in the way is our concepts, our ideas, our notions, our belief systems. Religious, ideological, sociological, all these things are going to be smashed. Because they stand in the way. Oh, divine will, but how can it operate this way? How can it operate that way? Gone. It is something entirely new. Beyond human conception. Just as an animal could not conceive a human world, we cannot conceive the supramental world. And then it will be a world of delight, but based on truth. Why our joys do not last? Because they are based on ignorance. So they don't last. We are happy for a while, and then a spoilsport comes, snatches away, and we say God is bad. Or actually, God has turned his eyes when you were enjoying that, and when he snatched away, then actually suddenly say, oh, my child is. Not least he loves when most he smites. So, what is going to happen? It is a delight, because when the ignorance covers are slain and the life becomes a spontaneous expression of truth. Truth is vastness, truth is harmony, truth is delight. You will say, how will harmony come about? People don't like it, they will contradict. Doesn't matter. Live by the truth of your being and harmony will come. It's very strange. It has to be experienced to be believed. It will come. Truth brings harmony. It has its own way of bringing harmony. How it brings harmony? Because we think truth is acting in bits and parts. It's acting inside me. This is about the supramental action. When I open to truth, it will touch all other points that are connected with me and through each other into this creation. And what it will do? Spontaneously bring them all into sync. I don't know if something, I'm sure in digital world something like this must be happening. I have no clue, at least it will happen. You touch a point. In ignorance, it doesn't happen like that. Because in ignorance, we act as separative consciousness. So I want to live my life, but I also want to be in harmony with somebody. So I try mental ways. You know what? Then what do? We play a game of deception and lies, isn't it? That's how we try to create a harmony, which is very strange. Harmony through lies. But in the truth world, you live by the truth, harmony will come. How? The same consciousness which you have opened yourself to will start touching everything which is connected with you. People whom you are attached to, whom you are worried about, oh, what will happen to them, how they will react. The same consciousness will act in them and bring harmony, because it's the nature of truth consciousness to create harmony. Truth is not a bare, harsh reality, for God's sake. The divine is all delight and all harmony. So this will be its action through ways unprecedented. Simply by touching, simply by putting into a mind here a suggestion, a thought, you will see things changing. It will look natural, but it's not natural. It uses natural processes and ways. So this is going to happen because of the action of the new consciousness. Individually, it is going to take us from the rational to the intuitive age. So the rational age is when you base things, your life, everything on hard facts. What are hard facts? What your senses observe. It doesn't need much thought to understand that whatever senses observe is very limited. They are not hard facts, actually they are very soft facts. They will just melt away if you look deep inside. We see the tip of the iceberg, and based on that we draw conclusions and we plan the life, isn't it? But the whole truth which is lying submerged, we do not know. So when the new consciousness will begin to act, it will act on the basis of this totality. So from the suprarational intuitive age means human beings will begin to act more and more intuitively. They may not always be able to give reasons for their action, but they will know the truth from their heart and they will follow it. This line in Savitri, truth will be their leader and their guide. It will happen spontaneously. Now people will say, oh, this is now a slippery slope. You leave reason, you will fall into infra-rational. Valid fears. And there will be a section of humanity which will take advantage, try to take advantage and, oh, we are supra-rational beings. But you can't deceive the supra-rational. It will, in those who need to have a base of reason, it will make a base of reason. What does intuition operate? See, what is the difference between intuition and reason? Reason has limited data on which basis it acts. Intuition shows you that which is hidden. So it has a much greater data. And it doesn't process the way reason processes, observe. How do we arrive at judging human nature? If at all we should do it, very bad exercise. Oh, I saw him, he speaks like this, he acts like this, he dresses like this. And we have slots. He's a good guy, he's a bad guy, he's this guy, he's that guy. This is how we put it, mind. But what is hidden inside, we don't know. Intuition will, in a flash, bear it. And those who will live by intuition will be able to look at life. It's a very different way of operating, very difficult to even explain. Mother says that how is a human being created? Human being is created when reason subordinates the vital animal instincts. Reason and morality, they must control it, otherwise there will be chaos. So mind overpowers vital. In those human beings in whom mind doesn't master the vital, they are like animals, little animal. There are people who say, I do what I feel like doing, what I want to do, I'll do. It's like a little animal, no? An animal does whatever it wants to do, wherever it wants to do. That's like an animal life. But human beings say, no, not like that. I must think, I must understand, analyze, where to do. It must take into consideration Desh, Kala, Patra, all these things. That is the difference between the vital and the mental man, the Rajasic and the Sattvic man. But intuition is when the higher consciousness subordinates both the mind and its opinions as well as the vital. So it doesn't go by mental opinions, it goes by a deeper truth which it sees and feels. And there will be human beings who are already, not will be, they are already waking up to this intuition and they're leading life according to that. So it is a long journey. Initially, they will automatically, this growing up process is within us. So we will see, oh, there was an indication, I didn't follow it. So what happened? So like that, they will grow and slowly they will develop more and more this intuitive way of life. Society will be organized more intuitively, not the way we understand today. Social values will change. They'll be based on the law of truth and not the law of ignorance. Law of ignorance invariably divides. Like long back, marriages were based on your caste. Caste again, sub this thing, there were many things. This cannot marry this. Even within the caste, there were many such sub things. Subsidies. Now it will be not that. Now it will be, people will cross these boundaries and barriers automatically. You can't stop them because it's the law of truth. And they will suddenly discover something which is way beyond what we can even imagine. And people will come together. You can't just help it. You may think it is bad. God doesn't care for our opinions. He never cared. Look at Shri Krishna. Even on battlefield, Bhurishrava tells him, you are not a good guy. Look at Socrates. People gave him hemlock. You are corrupting the youth. But did God listen? He changed an age through Socrates and he changed another age through Shri Krishna. So this is how this is going to happen. It will look like a great upheaval, which means many revolts, women rising, uprising, children questioning their father. Nachiketa will be born in every house. Fathers won't like it. Mothers will become like Jabali, will tell the truth blank to Satyakam. I don't know whose child you are, but you are my child. This I can tell you. So, those who want to, the old world is gone. Very discomforting to people who want to hold on to what has happened to present day children. So we have to prepare for it. To prepare for it is not to be tied to any of these frameworks. You see, that's what is happening today. And that's why if you see the process of yoga, what does Sri Aurobindo says? He says, reject those old ideas, those sanskaras which we carry, all these things, they are going to come in the way. They were very useful at a point of time, they are going to come in the way now, whether we like it or not. And Sri Aurobindo started, how did he initiate Amrita? Cutting off his choti. Saved him from a disastrous marriage, which he came to know later on. But see, it was an action, divine action. He was removing not just his choti, but the old sanskaras which we consider as the ideal. Why they had to be removed? Because now the choti had become, it had lost its real sense. It had become a semblance of power and knowledge, even if you don't have it. So the choti had been removed. So while removing Amrit Das choti, he removed a whole lot of sanskaras, old sanskaras. But the truth will always be there, it will come. It is Sanatan, it is eternal. So it will come back in new forms, new ways. So this is the new consciousness. So intuitive age will be there. Men will become more subjective. There will be no more tight. The subjective space was completely ignored some time back. I think previous generation, when child says, I feel like this, what you feel? Where is the scope of you feeling? I am telling you. Who are you? I am parent, my authority. Where did you get your authority from? From my parents. This was the age. Now subjective age means the subjective world of thoughts, of feelings. Suddenly human beings will wake up to that. So what will they need? More space. Why? Because they need to work upon this. So all these changes will come up with the advent of the new consciousness. The Superman consciousness is an intermediary which will take us, because this is, you can imagine what the journey is going to be. So in 1969, the Superman consciousness came as an intermediary. So what was its action? It came to prepare human beings. How? By making them wide, to make it in brief. We have had talks on this, but it'll make the consciousness wide. You can't cabin now in limited categories. That is gone. So it will make the consciousness wide. Second, it makes it benevolent. By its nature, it is benevolent. Third, it's a luminous guide. So human beings will automatically feel this inner guidance. They will not use the word guidance. Now, yes, it's a passage. Passage has its danger. When the chimpanzee left his trees and started living in caves as human beings, long journey. This will be not so long because mind was still an ignorant consciousness. It has to first clear up the mess created by mind. That is the other part. But it will be a shorter journey, but still, even a few thousand years is quite a bit of it. Because now, when human beings will leave this rational, sense-bound, desire-driven, ego-bound consciousness, life will become difficult to organize initially. They'll be like a new species stranger. So one of the characteristics of the new being will be to act under any kind of selfishness will be impossible for them. So you can clearly see, demarcate these two categories. Those who act under selfish motives. What will be my advantage to me? What will be my benefit? The new consciousness, beings with that, cannot act like that. So they will find very difficult initially to navigate through a world driven by ambition and all that. So they will appear as misfits. Like human beings were misfits in a world of chimpanzees. If a chimpanzee came face to face, they can't fight. Yet destiny had chosen this little creature who had lost his tail to one day govern the world. So destiny has chosen these children. Sri Aurobindo describes them, massive barrier breakers of the world. They may not be able to perform the way we expect them to perform in schools, but they will wrestle with destiny. Whereas these fellows, they'll perform very well, but they will not wrestle with destiny because they are busy only their own selfish life. But these children will carry the fire of idealism in their eyes. And for that sake, they will go to any extent. Wrestlers with destiny in their list of will. Their development will not be one-sided, previous this thing lopsided. Studies, good boy. Play. This boy is a spoiled boy. Okay, let him go to sports. Hey, emotional fellow. Now you will have new being Sri Aurobindo describes. Communicant and prophet and lover and king. You can't limit them into this category or that category. So the four varnas, see, wherein the previous society was organized based on, everywhere it was there, not only in India, by the way. It was called as, Brahmins were called as professionals, nice decent name. Kshatriyas were called as, the warrior class, and administrators, those who hold position of power. Vaishyas, the industrialist, and the hand. Sudras almost wiped out in many places because the hand. But still there are tools with which human beings deal. Or everywhere they've been there. Don't blame only India. In India, it was backed on a spiritual vision. That's all. One Purusha with four. Now it is gone. So what is going to come up? Every human being will be a seeker of truth, the new creation being. I'm talking of the new creation people. Seeker of truth. He will also be a warrior for truth. Wrestlers with destiny, inner lists of will. He will learn to stand for truth, heroism, courage. He will also be, see what does Vaishya does? He creates something and spreads it out to all. So they will also be beings who will share with the world whatever they receive, whatever they create. It will not be like my copyright. No. Whatever they create, whatever they receive, they will share it with the world freely and largely. And they will also be Shudras in the sense they will give new forms. What does Shudra do? It gives physical form to the knowledge which is within. Have you noticed the very interesting compliment they do? Maheshwari and Mahasaraswati. Before people have read Sri Aurobindo, most of the time Saraswati is considered as the goddess of knowledge and learning and wisdom, isn't it? So when you read Sri Aurobindo, suddenly you discover that Maheshwari is the goddess of wisdom. And Mahasaraswati is the goddess of perfection. What is the difference between the two? Mahasaraswati is the one who deals with all these tools and worksman and everything. Maheshwari lays down the larger lines of wisdom. Mahasaraswati applies it in detail. She gives form, concrete form to everything. Maheshwari will say a heart which is at the center of dynamic force. Mahasaraswati will say, okay, I'll build the chambers and place it here. This is the work of the tool. Beautiful, harmonizing way. So everybody in the new creation will be a little bit of Brahmin, a seeker of the infinite, a little bit of Kshatriya, who will fight for truth, a little bit of Vaishya, who will share freely and largely whatever he produces, and a little bit of Shudra, who will give beautiful form to the truths that are revealed to him or her. Which means the vision of the Vedic age of the true Aryan will be fulfilled. That's what an Aryan is. So this is the way these new children, new beings will come. They will be freed from all sectarianism. This is happening today. So the line between secular and religious, which was created of old, it will go away, because in both there is the same aspiration. There is a secular approach to God which says, I want truth, I want ideal, I want a perfect life, I want perfect love, isn't it? What is it? Who is love? The religious approach is God of love, Devata. Mystic approach. The divine from whom truth is released, Satchidananda. Bliss, Anandamay. But a secular person will say, life should be always happy. There should be peace upon earth. Secular. Shantam, Shivam. Religious. Both these approaches will discover their own unity. And all other approaches which right now appear as divided, left and right and the center, they will all arrive at their own truth. Communism and socialism and capitalism will discover their own secret truth. Materialism and spirituality, both will discover their own secret truth. I'm not going into its detail because it'll be another big talk. But in their present form, they will go. They can't remain in the forms of ignorance, but they will come in a new way. Money, new consciousness will not want money, rokda, cash, gone. Money will become what it always was and is, a vital force circulating in this universe. Cryptocurrency now. This is the future of things. So people will begin to handle forces than physical things. So forces, healing through forces, energy, all this is going to come up because human beings will wake up to a reality behind matter. Subtle reality, vital reality, thought acting upon matter, then spiritual consciousness acting upon matter. All this is in the pipeline, already expressing itself in those who are ready. So this and many more things the new consciousness will bring. And this is only the beginning. Its final result will be all that we dream today, the dream of perfection, ideal, kingdom of heaven upon earth, Rama Rajya. How can you have Rama Rajya if everybody is not Rama? That was the problem of, poor Rama. He is Rama, Sita, divine beings, lost amidst Rakshasas, Asuras, Vanaras and Dhobi. They wanted to have Rama Rajya. But was the world ready? No. Krishna wanted to have a reign of delight and freedom. Was the world ready? No. So now they have come armed with the truth consciousness which will compel the world to be ready. Then when the consciousness is different, you will have Ram Rajya, kingdom of heaven, the world of saints, whatever way you want to put it. So this is going to be, the dream will be fulfilled. And all that looks impossible but has crossed our mind, oh, I wish there was no death. Why there is disease and suffering upon earth? Why do we age? How nice now if the body doesn't fall sick at all. All these things will be fulfilled in the course of evolving time. So it is going to start with a change of consciousness. It is going to end up, it will be the crown of complete escape from the law of death, even in the body. Disease, aging, and death in the body. This is the whole agenda. And right now the period is going on when the new consciousness is asking, who is ready? Who is ready? Who is ready? Come, 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 come. It's picking up its bundle. There are some who have jumped into the bandwagon. There are others who say, oh, I am going to lose this, lose that. This is so nice, cozy. It will give time, but there will come a time when it will snap off. Chimpanzee remains chimpanzee, and there are human beings who are marked out. So also humanity, there will be a group which will remain tied to humanity. Then it will be through a long evolutionary process. Eventually they will climb, but who knows? Indefinite delay. And there will be those who belong to the new creation and the new consciousness. This is the choice before every human being. Mother put it very beautifully. And yes, those who are pervert, who are representing falsehood, obstinately hiding behind falsehood, clinging to inconscient, that will collapse into the abyss. So men, countries, continents, the choice is imperative. Truth or the abyss. This truth is not a legal truth, social truth, dogmatic truth, religious truth. It is truth with a capital T. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham is that truth. The day it expresses itself, Mother says, people will run away. If truth were to manifest itself and show to human beings its face, people will run away. Because we cannot face it. That truth will manifest. And then she also said, it is the hour of God. Which means evolution is fast forward. And she also said, the most pertinent question we need to ask, are you ready? It's the only question worth asking. Whether we like it or not, whether we believe or not, divine consciousness, the supramental truth consciousness is acting. We may keep analyzing, thinking, hai, nahi hai. It's okay. That's our choice, prerogative. But it is acting. Those who are in it know it. But it's very difficult to communicate beyond a point. How can a human being communicate all that it is experiencing to a chimpanzee? You can't. That is the big gap. So it is already operative. And now, all that we need to ask is, are we really ready for it? Are you ready? Namaste.